The story starts with Theo trying to convince Oscar that he had found a time portal. But Oscar thought Theo was just messing around. Their mom had suddenly disappeared. Theo believed she ran away with someone, but Oscar thought she was a brilliant scientist searching for time portals and might be stuck in another time. He wanted to understand her research and bring her back. The brothers kept arguing, but their grandma called them for dinner. They stayed quiet in front of her, but as soon as she left, the fight continued. In anger, Oscar swore at Theo, and Theo got so mad that he threw Oscar's pet turtle into the portal. Oscar was heartbroken and searched everywhere for his turtle. When he couldn't find it, he put up missing posters. Oscar was very attached to the turtle. He cried all the time without it. Soon, Theo realized his mistake and decided to jump into the portal to fix things. Inside the portal, he found everything that had been thrown in, including the turtle. Theo brought it back home, quietly returned it, and went to sleep. But the next morning, something strange happened. Theo was still a kid, but Oscar was now an adult. Turns out, Theo had time traveled from 1990 to 2022. In this time, Oscar was a physics professor. Later, Oscar visited a shop owned by a man named David. David's daughter, Alina, also came in. David had liked Alina since childhood, but never told her. Alina was divorced and had 2 kids. Oscar still had feelings for her, and she now taught English at the same university. Meanwhile, Theo woke up and looked for Oscar. He picked up the turtle and went to Grandma, but she was now very old and didn't recognize him. When Oscar saw Theo, he fainted from shock. When he came to, he asked if it was really Theo. Theo was confused and asked how he knew his name. Oscar explained he was his older brother. Theo was shocked at how Oscar had grown so much overnight. Eventually, they realized Theo had somehow ended up in 2022. They remembered a time when Oscar got mad at Theo for tearing up their mom's research notes. Theo showed Oscar a picture of their mom in a red dress and said he wanted to go back to 1990 because he was scared Grandma would yell at him for being late. He tried to return via the portal, but when he threw a stone into it, nothing happened. The portal was closed. Oscar explained that time travel isn't that simple. Not all portals take you back. So Oscar decided to help him find another one to return to 1990. They went to see Oscar's senior professor, who said time portals aren't possible. Disappointed, they left. Theo was fascinated by the modern world and Oscar's phone. Oscar explained how it worked and told Theo to stay focused on finding a way back to 1990. Theo then revealed he had found a handwritten list in their mom's papers, hidden in a dictionary when he was messing around. They asked Grandma about it, and she said she gave the dictionary to David. The next day, Oscar went to David's store and told Theo to stay home. But Theo sneaked out and ended up in a mall where he accidentally broke a VR headset. Oscar was called to pay for the damages and scolded Theo. Then they both went to David's house to find the dictionary. Alina was there too. Theo was stunned by how beautiful she had become. When she asked who he was, Oscar lied and said he was his cousin's son. Alina invited them over, where her kids were playing video games. Theo was amazed by the games and joined them. Oscar eventually found the list in the dictionary. When Oscar said it was time to leave, Alina offered to drop Theo off later. While playing, the kids made fun of Theo for not knowing how to play modern games. Everything from telling the time to turning off lights was done by Alexa now. Back at home, Oscar and Theo got back to work. They used the list to find places where time portals might exist, but nothing worked. Oscar started redoing his calculations. Theo asked why Oscar didn't have friends and why he never told Alina how he felt. Oscar said even though she was divorced, he didn't think it would work between them. Without telling Oscar, Theo texted David, Alina, and her kids and invited them over for dinner. Oscar was surprised but understood Theo's plan. That evening, Oscar and Alina grew closer. The next day, she even took Theo shopping. While trying clothes on, Theo was making funny football commentary like he used to. Alina recognized it and realized he was Theo, Oscar's younger brother. She hugged him and asked why he hadn't aged. Theo told her about the time portal. She didn't want to believe it, but the proof was standing right in front of her. To confirm, she asked Oscar who threw a stone from the roof. It bounced back, proving the portal existed. Oscar explained there are 3 types of portals. One that lets you travel back and forth between fixed times. One that takes you to a random time. One that traps you forever. Theo had used the first type to reach 2022. Now, they needed to find one to get him back to 1990. They started researching every day. Alina liked visiting more and more, and Oscar found himself enjoying her presence. However, Alina was sad about Theo leaving. She feared it might change her future. Maybe her kids would never be born. Oscar promised nothing would change for her. They brainstormed how to keep both timelines intact. Theo had an idea. He involved Alina's kids in cracking the coordinates from their mom's notes. If they helped him go to the past, that meant they would still be born. The trio found a possible portal location at a beach. Theo jumped into the water, and the kids accidentally realized they were in the past, but not in 1990. It was 1949. The city hadn't even been built yet. They were stuck in a random time due to the second type of portal. Back in 2022, Alina called Oscar and told him the kids were missing. Oscar guessed they had found the portal to 1990, but something went wrong. Now, they had to go find them. Meanwhile, in 1949, the kids were out of money and their phones didn't work. They were also hungry. They decided to do a mind-reading magic show using modern gadgets to earn some money. The audience was impressed, but the police noticed and chased them. As they were escaping, a stranger kidnapped them and took them to a secret location. Turns out it was a rebel gang fighting the government for good causes. Surprisingly, one of the gang members was Theo's grandmother when she was young. Theo didn't tell anyone, but hugged her tightly. The gang wasn't dangerous to the kids. They let them stay. Meanwhile, in 1990, Oscar and Alina arrived through the portal but didn't find anyone at Oscar's house. They saw young Oscar crying over Theo's disappearance, and it broke older Oscar's heart. Back in 1949, the kids were adapting. Theo asked his young grandma for a photo and told her to always keep it safe. Later, this changed the photo in 1990. Now, it included Theo and Alina's kids. Theo also wrote coordinates on the back, which helped Oscar and Alina track him. Oscar and Alina returned to 2022 to find the correct portal to 1949. Once there, they identified themselves using a whistle only Theo and his grandma knew. They reunited with the kids. Alina was emotional, but Theo didn't want to leave. He loved 1949, that Oscar told Theo how much he had missed him and begged him to return. The young grandma came and offered help. They set off to find a portal driven by their grandfather. Finally, they found a portal back to 2022. It was time to send Theo back to 1990. Theo didn't want to go because he had no parents there. He said Oscar reminded him of their dad and wanted to stay. Oscar hugged him and promised that his younger self in 1990 would take care of him. Reluctantly, Theo returned to 1990, where his grandma welcomed him with love. When asked where he was, he lied and said he had been kidnapped. Theo then told Oscar everything and showed him the phone from the future. Oscar didn't fully believe it, but couldn't deny the evidence. The brothers decided to never use a time portal again and stay happy in the present. Back in 2022, the doorbell rang. Theo teased Oscar that it must be his girlfriend, Alina. He told Oscar it was finally time to confess his feelings. Her divorce was final and the kids were already born. Everything would stay the same. When Oscar opened the door, Alina was standing there, ready for a new beginning. In the final scene, a portal opens in the very distant past, and a woman steps out. It's Theo and Oscar's mom. She starts teaching science to the primitive people, possibly changing the future forever.